Tonight on To The Point, PG&E is asking for another rate hike from state regulators.
It's incredibly appalling.
I think it's outrageous.
How much it could cost you and how lawmakers are hoping to help. Plus, as President Trump works to dismantle the Department of Education, the new agencies he's putting in charge of some programs.
A little bit of a dreary day today. We've had plenty of cloud cover, a little bit of sunshine early this evening, but it does get better as we go through the weekend. We're seasonal tomorrow, then I've got 70s and 80s on the way for Sunday and Monday.
A large swath of land in Placer County now preserved for generations to come. And on the back roads, we head to Calaveras County to celebrate one of California's biggest Irish heritage celebrations. Good evening. Thank you for ending your week with us on To The Point. I'm Becca Hobbiger in for Alex Bell. Well, PG&E is once again asking for a rate increase, this time so shareholders can profit more. Customers could possibly see an increase in their utility bills if approved by the California Public Utilities Commission. Well, ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen joins us in studio to explain by how much your bills could go up and how lawmakers are hoping to help.
Becca, PG&E says this is something they have to do every 3 years, but if it is approved, it could cost customers an extra $5.50 a month. Both Democratic and Republican lawmakers tell me enough is enough as they've introduced bills to target the utility companies' pockets.
Incredibly appalling.
I think it's outrageous.
On Thursday, PG&E submitted its costs of capital application to the California Public Utilities Commission, something they are required to do every 3 years. PG&E says investors expect to be compensated for taking on the risk despite extreme weather events, inflation, and recent federal government decisions. But it would come at the cost of an extra $5.50 on people's monthly utility bills. Ratepayer advocates say this request is putting more strain on customers.
Good that PG&E is investing in safety. Nobody has an issue with that. The issue is making the ratepayers, making the customers' bills go sky high. In the past 5 years, PG&E customer bills have doubled.
PG&E tells ABC 10 in the past year there have been 5 electric rate increases as well as 2 rate decreases offsetting the increases. Adding people are paying less this year as they were during the start of 2024. But Democratic Senator Aisha Wahab is hoping SB 332, the Investor-Owned Utility Accountability Act, can put a cap on how often utility companies can demand an increase.
They are only allowed to ask for one rate increase per year. First and foremost. And that rate increase is to be kept by the Consumer Price Index, which is basically inflation for all of us.
Additionally, Republican Assemblymember Bill Asaley hopes AB 884 can prevent utility companies from contributing to political campaigns.
They're spending millions of dollars, which could be going to improving the infrastructure or reducing rates. They're diverting hundreds of millions of dollars to political contributions.
PG&E says it reinvests 97% of what it earns back into programs, making the system safer for customers. But many find that hard to believe.
I think PG&E is a victim of bad math.
Bad math. Wow, strong words from Mr. Joni there with Turn. Now, Jeannie, the CPUC still has to weigh in on this decision. If they approve PG&E's request, though, how soon could customers see this in their bills?
Becca, if PG&E says this is approved, customers can see it reflected in their bills by January 1st, 2026 at the earliest. PG&E also said that if this happens, it will be offset by changes from general rate cases with charges that would be coming off from their bill.
Okay, so PG&E says customers might not actually see a change because of some differences in the bills. Okay, well, we'll keep following this, Jeannie. Thank you so much. Of course. And next month, millions of Californians will actually get a credit on their gas and electric bills. The credits range from $35 back to you to $259 for electricity bills and $54 to $87 on natural gas bills. Now, these credits are thanks to the state's cap and trade program that requires polluters to pay for climate change. Now, or climate change action, and you don't need to do anything to claim it. You'll just automatically see this applied to your April bill. Turning now to President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. Tonight, concerns are rising about the possible implications from Trump's order calling to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. Trump, fulfilling one of his campaign promises, signed the order yesterday, surrounded by kids. The president argues the department hasn't improved student outcomes, even though we should point out The U.S. Department of Education does not administer curriculum, create lessons, or set graduation or enrollment requirements. While most funding for public schools comes from state and local sources, the department does oversee funding for low-income students and those with disabilities. So what does Trump's order mean for children and teachers? Well, it depends how Education Secretary Linda McMahon offloads functions of the department to other parts of government, including the states, and in turn, how states distribute that money. So according to the California Budget and Policy Center, all of the K-12 schools get a total of $8 billion in federal funding. Higher education gets a total of $7 billion. We asked them what could happen if funding is cut.
I think that would create difficult decisions for state leaders, especially when we're thinking about how to backfill potential funding cuts. The Education Law Center, they produce these estimates of what the impact would be on California if we were to lose, for example, 100% of Title I funding. That would, to be able to backfill that amount, the state would have to cut more than 40,000 teaching positions.
State Superintendent Tony Thurmond says he's filed a declaration in a lawsuit over the withholding of federal funding based on school curriculum. As for the impact of student loans under the Trump order, Trump today said the Small Business Administration would take over the $1.6 trillion federal student loan portfolio. Users of aid websites could expect to see some hiccups. The studentaid.gov website was down for several hours last week following layoffs with the developers and support staff who worked on FAFSA. And programs involving students with disabilities will now be shifted to the Department of Health and Human Services. Eliminating the Department of Education completely, though, would require an act of Congress. Republicans are already working on a bill to do that. A new plan is being discussed in Washington to improve security at the southern border. ABC News has learned the Pentagon is evaluating plans to take control of an area of land along the southern border to create a buffer zone between the U.S. and Mexico. They say it would give U.S. troops an area to temporarily hold migrants. The Washington Post reports the land would initially be in New Mexico, then possibly stretch to California. It comes as Elon Musk met with Pentagon officials today. The briefing is described as informal, and he did not meet with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Christiane Cordero she has the details from Washington.
Today, the Defense Department released these photos of Elon Musk seated at the head of a table in the Pentagon, Secretary Pete Hegseth directly across. The closely watched meeting comes hours after the New York Times cited two U.S. officials in reporting Musk was scheduled to be briefed on top-secret U.S. military plans should it enter a war with China, a story the administration adamantly denies.
We welcomed him today to the Pentagon to talk about DOGE, to talk about efficiencies, to talk about innovations. It was a great informal conversation. The rest of that reporting was fake.
Before the meeting, Musk wrote on his social media site X, quote, "The New York Times is pure propaganda," adding, "I look forward to the prosecutions of those at the Pentagon who are leaking maliciously false information." China is a vital market for Musk's car company Tesla, which saw record sales there last year. Just last month, President Trump vowed the administration wouldn't let Musk get anywhere near potential conflicts of interest. He doubled down today, denying this visit was ever scheduled to include sharing the military's war plans.
I don't want to show that to anybody, but certainly you wouldn't show it to a businessman who is helping us so much.
U.S. officials tell ABC News Musk was slated to meet with the Joint Chiefs of Staff today, but that the plans changed sometime after the New York Times published its story. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Still ahead on To the Point, Sherry Papini, the Northern California mother who faked her own kidnapping, returned to court today. Why a battle is brewing with her ex-husband.
And we're going to have some isolated showers across the valley tonight and tomorrow. Seasonal temperatures returning, but also 80s are just around the corner. And the forecast is coming up after the break.
Plus, saving a large swath of land in Placer County. New details in the fight to preserve Clover Valley. ABC 10 meteorologist Brendan Minchep joins us now. Brendan, you perked up my ears earlier when you said 80s are just around the corner. Tell us more.
Yeah, just a few days away. Likely Monday, Tuesday. That's the highlight of the forecast, but there is a lot more to get to. We'll start with radar and satellite. It's been a pretty cloudy day out there across Northern California. You see that the clouds are moving through. You see some light showers up in the high country as well, but the majority of the precipitation is going to stay off to our north. We still see some rain up along the north coast, some light rain going to move through the northern valley and the northeast plateau as well, but that's about it. We're going to keep those rain chances through the overnight, but it's going to be so isolated, so scattered, not expecting widespread rain. And anywhere that does see rain, it's just going to be very light. We'll see Futurecast in just a second, but right now 62 in Sacramento, 63 Vacaville and Fairfield, 64 Stockton, 64 Modesto, 52 in Placerville, almost 40 degrees up in Truckee and South Lake Tahoe right now. Through the rest of this evening, clouds are building back in. We'll be in those mid-50s as we approach midnight tonight. Waking up early on Saturday morning, temperatures are going to be in those middle 40s, very seasonal for the time of year. Mostly cloudy skies and some isolated showers, but the best shower chances are going to be in the Sacramento Valley. Saturday afternoon is going to be another cloudy day. Clouds do clear, but not until we get past kind of that, prime time tomorrow. We'll see that on Futurecast here. Clouds building back in. Some light showers in the upper valley. Not widespread rain. It's just going to be light tomorrow morning. Some light snow showers in the high country. Again, not really expecting much in the way of accumulation. Just some quick hitting showers here and there. Clouds through the afternoon on Saturday, but then it clears as we head into the evening. So we'll have likely a few hours of clearing skies on Saturday, but it's just going to be the last few hours of the day there. But there you go. There's some 80s coming back Monday and Tuesday, low 80s. Could we see some rain in the long term? Perhaps.
Brendan,
Becca?
thanks so much. I love to see those 80s for sure. Well, next on To The Point, Sherry Papini, the Northern California woman convicted of staging her own kidnapping, appeared in court today. Her ex-husband's testifying against her request for time with their children. Plus, cracking down on unsafe e-bike and e-scooter riding, why one city in our area is no longer issuing just warnings to violators.
Free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app has so much to offer. Get your news live and on demand 24/7 so you can watch the news when you want. There's breaking news, extended forecast, and so much more. We have everything you need to get through your day and ready for the weekend. We've got you covered on money-saving tips, travel, entertainment, and sports. Download the free ABC 10 Plus app on your smart TV and popular streaming devices like Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and more. ABC 10. We stand for you 24/7.
Sherry Papini, the woman from Redding who gained national attention in 2016 after staging her own kidnapping, was back in court today, this time fighting for custody of her children. The mother disappeared in 2016 and reappeared 22 days later, claiming she had been kidnapped. In 2022, investigators revealed it was all a lie, finding that Papini had been hiding in Southern California with her ex-boyfriend. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Well, now she's pushing to spend more time with her two children. Her ex-husband, Keith Papini, has custody of them, and he's fighting her request, citing her staged kidnapping.
That she did in fact mutilate her own body. She did in fact burn herself. She did in fact hit herself with hockey pucks and everything else, or had someone else do it along with her. And once I knew that that was the reality, I of course didn't feel safe with the kids.
The court hearing is happening 2 months after the Hulu docuseries The Perfect Wife, The Mysterious Disappearance of Sherry Papini premiered. Papini is also asking the judge to prohibit her ex from showing the children the docuseries, saying it opens old wounds. Well, the city of Dixon is cracking down on e-bike and scooter safety following a spike in accidents. Officials say the spike is largely due to reckless behavior by teenagers. Common violations include riding without helmets, weaving through traffic, ignoring stop signs, and riding on sidewalks. Police will now issue citations, fines, and even impoundments for violations.
Last thing that we want as a police department is to have to go to a parent's home and inform them something terrible has happened to their children. Ultimately, it's the parent's responsibility to ensure that juveniles are following the laws and are safe.
The department says e-bikes and scooters will be impounded for egregious or multiple violations. You'll have to pay a $200 fee to get it back. Well, the last large swath of untouched land in Rockland city limits has been saved from development and will be preserved for generations to come. We're talking about more than 400 acres of a place called Clover Valley. I've been following this story for 2 years now and have this major update.
Welcome to Clover Valley, altogether a 622-acre expanse in Rockland city limits, home to a rare and threatened bird species and Native American historical sites, and now safe from the large-scale development it has faced for decades. A developer had an entitlement to build more than 500 homes here, but gave private Christian Jessup University in Rockland, in partnership with the Placer Land Trust, the opportunity to buy 402 acres for conservation at a discount. The land was valued at $16 million, and the owners are selling it to Jessup for $10 million.
It's a beautiful spot.
Dr. John Jackson is Jessup's president. The school's initial down payment in late 2022 of $2.25 million came from the City of Lincoln, Placer County, and Emigrant Trails Greenway Trust. But Jessup still needed to raise some $8 million and found fundraising for the project to be more difficult than expected. An extended deadline of December 2024 came and passed.
And so on January 8th of 2025, they filed a notice of default. Roughly speaking, that gave us 90 days to about April 8th. So we've been working feverishly and just have some amazing news to share.
In these final weeks, he says Jessup received investments from a private conservation group called the Skyview Foundation, the City of Rockland, and finally, the Placer County Office of Education, allowing Jessup to finish the purchase.
What a great example of what we have in Placer County and the region. Public, private, individuals all working together.
He says there will eventually be some public access and educational opportunities for K-12 and college students.
Jessup plans to officially finish the transaction in the next 10 days or so and celebrate. And then the Placer Land Trust will place a conservation easement on the land, permanently protecting it from development. Jessup and the Placer County Office of Education will then come up with a management plan for the land. It's time for another trip on the back roads. Tonight, John Bartel takes us to Calaveras County for one of California's biggest Irish heritage celebrations, Murphy's Irish Day.
When gold was first discovered in the foothills of Calaveras County, it was two Irishmen who struck it rich.
So much gold, yes!
From that day forth, the luck of the Irish ran strong in the town of Murphy's.
Yeah, the whole town is quirky. I mean, everything about this town is quirky. That's the only way to describe it.
Murphy's Irish Day is an annual tradition celebrating St. Patrick and the two brothers who founded the town, John and Daniel Murphy.
They did come from a town in Ireland. Yeah, they are true Irish. They were true Irish boys.
John and Daniel Murphy were among the first immigrants to bring wagons to the Sierra. They were also among the first to discover gold in the area, reportedly extracting $2 million in gold ore from the Murphys' diggings alone.
And the town sprung up around it around 1851, 1852.
Event volunteer Scott Clan says that when word got out about the gold-rich hills, the Murphy brothers set up a trading post and turned the town into a business mecca that often attracted shenanigans.
And it was pretty much a roughneck town, which occasionally on 3-day weekends in the middle of the summer, it still can be a pretty roughneck town.
Though under the watchful eye of the sheriff's department, it is not hard to find those roughnecks on Irish Day. Drinking is a cherished pastime during the event, and according to Scott, it is also a local tradition to have a pint or two of beer the night before and paint the street. Literally.
They'd be drinking all night and painting shamrocks in the middle of the street, and I think it's a little more tame now. I would not confess to actually being here and doing anything illegal like painting on a street.
Murphy's has always been a bit of a party town, and the parade takes you by many of the hot spots in town, including the historic Murphy's Hotel, which hosted outlaws, gamblers, businessmen, and even the president.
Ulysses S. Grant, our president, stayed right there in the hotel. Mark Twain's been, yes, of course, all All of the old hits from back in the day.
Unlike most gold towns, Murphy's didn't turn into a ghost town. When the miners left, farmers, ranchers, and homesteaders all moved in, keeping the Irish heritage alive.
From Irish Day in Murphy's, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Happening this weekend at Mather Airport is the Capitol Air Show. The Blue Angels arrived today ahead of performances tomorrow and Sunday. People will get to chat with military members throughout the event to learn about the different jobs they do. Gates open at 9 a.m. with aerial performances from noon to 4 each day. Well, you can find more events happening this week on our website, abc10.com. Thank you so much for watching and inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, please reach out to me and the team. Email tothepoint@abc10.com. And hey, To The Point doesn't end here. To watch stories featured on the show, download our free ABC 10 Plus streaming app to your TV. Have a great night and a safe weekend.